Karl Marx is a famous thinker who is very renowned for his ideology, Marxism. His theories are considered to be the most influential one which has changed the global history. Because of his eminence and his intellectual capacities, Karl Marx, along with Emil Durkheim and Max Weber, is considered to be the three principal architects of modern social sciences. Marx is famous for his contributions to the field of social science. He is renowned as a philosopher, economist, historian, political theorist, sociologist, communist, and a revolutionary by his life. He has upheld the modern organizational functions. His ideas became so famous that many countries adopted it as their ideology and has made it as the key tool for many revolutions. His ideologies are very famous under the name communism, and we all are familiar with many nations under the ideology of communism. No other thinkers of 20th century got this much influence in the society, and his influence, his theories had attracted many masses towards his concepts, and that's how Marx and his ideology became a very important theory in the modern world history. Karl Heinrich Marx was born on 5th May 1818 in the city of Trier in West Germany. He studied at the University of Berlin, where he was introduced to the Hegelian philosophy, which had influenced him as a student, and he was very attracted towards the concepts which were made by Hegel. In the year 1841, he was awarded with his doctorate from University of Jena, and there he made his research in the areas of Democritus and Epicurus. In the year 1848, he went to Paris, and there he was the part with the revolutions happened there, and because of that he was expelled from Paris in the year 1849. After his expulsion from Paris, he got settled at London on August 1849 and had his lifetime at London until his death on March 14th, 1883. Marx is famous for many of his works, and his works have sparked many nations, even many revolutions which have changed the world's history. He was the first man who critically examined the concept bureaucracy. He never defined the concept but analyzed all the aspects and all the areas where the bureaucracy is spread across. His theories were analyzed all over the world by different schools like Frankfurt. His theories have attracted the masses. His theories have sparked many revolutions. The major works of Karl Marx includes the world famous Communist Manifesto, Wage Labor Capital, The Holy Family, which has changed the world history. He, along with Friedrich Engels, has contributed a lot to the field of social sciences. Origin of bureaucracy. In the theory of historical materialism, Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels has categorized the origin of bureaucracy from four sources. The first one is the religion. The religion is considered to be the most earliest form of bureaucracy which emerged in the society. The religious institutions has spread across the beliefs of the people, and the bureaucracy consists of the clergies, officials, and scribes who performs various rituals and functions in the religious practices. The religion was so attracted and so affected towards the minds of the people, and thus the people accepted the bureaucracy formed inside the religion. Second one, the state. The formation of societies from the primitive times onwards resulted in the formation of or the establishment of states. The states was the body which was formed to protect the lives and security of the people and started to enforce the power over the people to enact their functions. As a body which protected the lives, as a body which defended the lives, the people started to accept the domination of the state, and thus the state, as a legal weapon, started to spread across the lives of the people as a power which established through the officials. Commerce. The dimensions of bureaucracy works on the market conditions, and thus the possessions held by the market and the commerce really made a legal structure and enforcements to the lives of the people. The complex systems of management, calculations, processing the accounts, every aspects resulted in the bureaucratic formations of the commercial institutions. Fourth one, technology. Technology as a mass production required many standardized routines and procedures. Because of the advancements of technologies, the peoples were replaced by machines. But ultimately, to operate these machines, they required trained, specialized, expertized persons. And thus, the technologies which were used required those category of people who were specialized in these aspects. Thus, a new type of bureaucracy emerged, which can be called as technocracy, and it owns all the powers and control over all the specialized technical knowledge or the areas where the machines requires a specialized persons to guide them. Thus, group of people emerged as the technocrats, and they started to control over the other people under their technological or specialized knowledge. Bureaucracy as an exploitative instrument. According to Karl Marx, bureaucracy is considered to be an integral part of unfair social system based on its experiences from the Mosul district famine. He viewed that the capitalist society, which holded the power institutions, plays a crucial role in exploiting the social groups or the people by using their power. And the bureaucracy is the key body which exercises this power over the people. Marx always observed that the abolition of state will be achieved gradually by the destructions of this bureaucratic machinery. He believed that the bureaucratic machinery was the key player which operated the state, and to abolish the entire system, the state itself should be emancipated. He emphasized more importance on the understanding of bureaucracy both functionally and historically, as the concept itself is at its focal point through its operation through the modern states. The political expressions of division of labor has to be explained while considering the structural terms, and he considered that bureaucracy as a human subject becomes a mere object of manipulations as it is handled by a group of powerful people. They manipulate it according to their will and wish. Marx has never defined the concept bureaucracy. He never went into the definition parts of bureaucracy, but has covered all the aspects of bureaucracy, and many of his writings mainly focused on these aspects which he gathered from his own experiences. From the revolutions which he was a part at Paris to as an editor of a newspaper, he gathered a lot of experience, and these experience resulted in arriving to a clarified concept of bureaucracy. According to Marx, the bureaucracy established over the people by controlling certain rights of the people. The liberty of the peoples were disturbed by the system of bureaucracy, and that's how they established their power over the people. The issues like censorship of the press, the using of the press to indulge with the ideas of bureaucracies have been considered by Marx as the power which was unlawfully used by the bureaucracy. Marx has expressed his thoughts on bureaucracy under the book Critics of Hegel's Philosophy of Rights, where he viewed bureaucracy as the institutional incarnation of political alienation. He considered that the state is the body which is to be there to perform the general interest, and thus this general interest can be disturbed by a bureaucratical body. That's why he was all against the structure of bureaucracy, because the general interest of the state can be disturbed at any time by the bureaucracy. Thus, he developed his concept of bureaucracy through his critiques of Hegel's philosophy of right. Karl Marx was very much impressed and was attracted towards the concepts of Hegel. It was the Hegel's concepts which made him to think about the aspects of bureaucracy, and he later discovered many emphases of the Hegel's concepts. He was very impressed by the thoughts of Hegel's, and especially the interest of Hegel over the state was something which attracted Marx more. According to Hegel, after the family and the civil society, the state emerged as the last development of rational social order. And this has been accepted universally, and this has become a theory all over the world. According to Hegel, the society existed of three classes: the agricultural class, the business class, and the universal class, which reflects the modes of consciousness, conservatism, individualism, and universalism, respectively. Hegel considered bureaucracy as the one which represented the universal interest, as he considered it with lack of negativities. He added a positive universality over the aspect, as it stood for the interest of the state. Hegel says that the universal class should not be misunderstood as the unhappy consciousness, and They are, on the contrary, of self satisfied consciousness, which understands the accepts of the world as a whole. As we discussed, Marx was very much interested towards the concepts of Hegel's, especially over the state. But he felt that the state does not represent the generalist interest while considering the bureaucratic structure. Marx was against the prominence of bureaucracy, although he accepted the state as the key player which protected the general interest. He really critiqued the Hegel's notion of universal class influenced and the excess structural powers given to the bureaucracy. Marx used the term proletariat as the universal class. The working class people was more considered by Marx, and he considered them as the universal class to empower and control the entire structure. Marx was attracted to the concepts of bureaucracy from the writings of C.G. Trans, J.J. Coase and all, but ultimately he was against the structural dominance of the bureaucracy. His first explicit attack over the bureaucracy was in the year 1843, and he critically examined bureaucracy as a closed system within the state. So, according to Marx, three basic elements really made the state to be under the dominations of this bureaucracy. Firstly, the state is an organ of class domination. The class structures used to dominate the entire system. Here, the class differentiations plays a major role. Secondly, its aim is to create an order which legalizes and perpetuates the oppressions of one class by moderating the conflicts. So, this is also an area where the bureaucratic class can play an important role. The powers are enjoyed by these class and they always dominates with their power to suppress the other classes under their control. Thirdly, the state is a temporary phenomenon. It will wither away with the abolition of classes. This was something which Hegel's impact made on Marx. So Marx was really attracted to this aspect where the abolition of classes happens and the power was directly granted to the people. Characteristics of bureaucracy. Karl Marx illustrated the characteristics of bureaucracy into four. First one, the division of labor. According to Marx, the division of the labor was a product of capitalist economy. He points out that the division of labor was really a tool used by the capitalists to control over the masses. According to him, the workers are the main key players who use their physical as well as their intellectual powers and works for the organization. They invest all their capacities and their hard works are being utilized by a small group of people under the name division of labor. Here, the capitalists or the bureaucrats used to control the working class using their intellectual powers, and as a result, these capitalists or the bureaucrats are the group of people who enjoys the maximum profits out of the industries, whereas the working class will always be under these groups. The salaries, the increments, the income earned by the working class who hard works for the organization will be very less as compared to the bureaucrats or the capitalist. And all this happens because of the division of labor. The second characteristics of bureaucracy, according to Marx, is the hierarchy. Marx considers hierarchy of bureaucracy as the hierarchy of knowledge where the top positions or the top class delivers their power to the bottom. The bottom group has to accept all the orders and instructions given by the top class. And it works as a hierarchical pattern all over the world, and this is the one which is universally accepted. The knowledge or the power is considered to be in the top position, and all other strains and works are to be in the lower positions. This hierarchical structure of bureaucracy always works for the interest of the topper class. Marx always considered that this hierarchy is there to protect the interest of the topper class, and that's why he considered it as one of the most important characteristics of bureaucracy. The bureaucracy can establish their will and wish and their interest by using their positions in this hierarchical structure. Trainings. Marx views that trainings as a dehumanized method which is used in the structure of bureaucracy. He was against the concepts of recruitments of members in the bureaucracy through competitive examinations because he examines that the statesmanship of a person cannot be tested using the examinations. According to him, these types of examinations are creating a new class or ensuring the upper class to clinch into the top structures of bureaucracy. Marx considers that the education is a much costlier one and it is only affordable to the upper class, and thus the class structure is not being destroyed, whereas the class structure is getting more and more empowered by using the method of training or competitive examinations in recruiting to this bureaucracy. So, Marx gives a view that the higher education creates more social distances between the rich and the poor, and it is the higher class who always gets the education, and he will be appointed as the manager. And if an higher class is again appointed as a manager, he never regrets to threaten or to give more troubles to the poor as he is from the higher class only and he doesn't know what's happening with the lower sections of the society. Thus, according to Marx, these types of trainings always empowers the bureaucratical structures with the higher class. Rules are the last characteristics considered by Marx as a key thing which the bureaucrats use to control the people. The rules are the one which is framed to ensure the state interest. But Marx considered that the bureaucrats always gives importance to the rules. Their functions, their works, and they established only according to the rules, and for them, the rules are more important than the humanity. The human beings will not be considered in any way, and the interest of the human beings won't be considered while comparing with the rules. For the bureaucrats, for the establishments, the rules should be given more priority than the human interest. Theory of alienation. Marx, in his theory of alienation, points out the conditions of a worker. Alienation is a scenario where the workers face the divisions or isolation in a capitalist industry. A worker can lose his job at any point of time if the management wish so. Any sort of problems occurs in the management results with the loss of work for the workers. Thus, Marx highlights the importance of job security in an organizations, especially the capitalist conditions provides more control over one's own work, and especially the bureaucratic section of people always concentrate more on their job security. The autonomous job conditions which the worker himself is indulged is having more securities, but the capitalistic conditions doesn't provide job security, and in this type of systems the workers are more dependent on the management for their job securities and the conditions to set their activities. In a capitalistic conditions, the human beings cannot be humane in nature because they have to work according to the orders and instructions of the management. Here, the decision-making authorities plays a crucial role in determining the job security of a worker in an organization. Marx recommends that a society should be truly free from any sorts of vested activities like political, social, or economics. The society should go according to the will of the people and it should have the more priority over the activities. The alienation of a worker is their estrangement from the process of their work and total control of their work. Marx equally applies the concept of alienation for the proletariats as well as the bureaucracy, as these two comes under the perspectives of the organization. According to Marx, alienation has four main aspects when it comes. The first one is the loss of freedom. Marx considers that loss of freedom is the prime thing which happens in an administrative structure. After being a part of a job, the workers are in a compulsion to take up the job without any independence as he is bounded to the organization. Here, the individual interest, the individual activities, and individual level of decision making is not possible as the individual or the worker has to go with the commands of the management. Here, all the activities of the individuals are being controlled by the managers, and even the managers are also controlled by the management, where the manager will be having a superior to him and he will guide him, and based on his guidance only this manager will be also performing. Thus, in an administrative structure, even if it is the bureaucrats or the proletariats, loss of freedom is a common fact. The second level of alienation is the loss of creativity. The individual or a worker will be having his own creativities, but in a bureaucratic system or in an administrative structure, there is no importance to the creativity. Here, the member has to perform according to the will and wish of the organization. The division of labor is very crucial that the worker has to perform his work even if he is not satisfied about his conditions. The worker won't be satisfied to perform that work, but when he is a part of that organization or the structure, it is his duty to perform the work according to the instructions given. Here, he cannot work based on his will or wish. His creativity has to be apart from his work, as he is not independent to use or to indulge his creativity in his work unless he is being instructed to do so. Loss of humanity. Marx considers the modern organizations with lack of humanity. Here, the main concentration is given to the profits, and profits are being the focal point of the organization. All the workers, the entire administrative structures are there for the benefits of the organization to get more profits. There is no consideration about the humanities, and thus all the workers are in a position to work according to the division of labor given to them. The organizational structures are focused more on profits, and the will or the conditions of the workers will not be considered than the interest of the organization. Loss of morality. According to Marx, loss of freedom and humanity necessarily leads to loss of morality. Here, loss of all values like freedom, creativity, humanities makes a human without any morality. Here, the individual, as a result of all these conditions, gives more importance to the profits or the profit based activities. So, loss of morality, loss of freedom, loss of creativity finally makes the individual to suffer more and want to consider the sufferings of others or the conditions of others. Thus, the loss of morality happens. Proletariat's alienation from bureaucracy. Marx signifies bureaucracy as a concept which is away from the working class. According to him, it has two implications. First one, it suggests the complete reformation of the state and thereby restructuring the bureaucracy. Here, he suggests more importance to the working class and withering the bureaucracy away from the entire process, thus creates a reformations for the state. Second, it implies that it is the extent of bureaucratization which determines the amount of violence required to overthrow the political system of a given society. Here he renders more to the changes which is being fired by the working class. So how it is going to be extended to overthrow the entire system and to establish the will of the proletariats. Marx views that the external relations of bureaucracy are often essential and conflictual in nature as they always being dominating. The bureaucrats focus more on their interest and thus the interest of the societies will not be considered in a similar manner. Marx, in order to prove that the bureaucracy lacks both the spirit and will of general, contended that bureaucracy always works in a way to boost individual ambitions and careers. For the bureaucratic structure, they focus more on their interest. They won't consider the interest of the working class, the conditions of the working class, and will not make any rather changes for the betterment of the working class. Thus, they will be apart from the will of the proletariats. Eventual withering away of bureaucracy. Marx considered that an agricultural oriented society is the best soil for the bureaucracy to establish itself. In an economy which primarily depends upon the peasantry, the bureaucracy will be much stronger and it will establish its clutches over the society. He also views that the society born out of proletarian revolution or working class revolution can work without bureaucracy, as the working class will be the powerful and they will centralize the entire administration of the state. When this working class is having the power, the bureaucracy will shred its domination over the society, and thus the domination of the bureaucratic structure will wither away, whereas the working class will be more powerful and they will enter into the power centralization. He also claims that a state can undergo complete change in its nature when the working class is in power. He also believes that the demolition of state structure will result in the centralization of power with the working class, and thus the bureaucracy cannot establish itself at the focal level of administration. Marx was always in the view that bureaucracy is also as like the feudalism. The bureaucracy also established itself as a feudal power where the entire power is with a group of people, and this group of peoples will dominate a huge massive population. But this structure can only be demolished by the focusing effort of the working class revolution. Bureaucracy in a transitional state. Karl Marx was in the aspect that when the working class attains the power, it will rapidly change or make transitions in the character of public functionaries. The entire administrative structures will be rapidly changed, and the transition starts within the administrative structures. When the working class attains the power, it will stop the bureaucracy to attain or centralize its power over the administrative structures. The officials in this transitional state would be consisting of the working class as well as the representatives of the people. Here, the role of bureaucracy will be minimal and thus the working class will be in power. This type of transitions results in withering away the class structures, and it will establish a classless society where there won't be any misunderstanding in the administrative structures as the power is with the people. The administrative structures or the functionaries will survive this transition without any indulge of bureaucracy, and thus the concept of socialism will establish in the society. Karl Marx, in the theory of materialist interpretation of history, very clearly analyzed the concepts of bureaucracy. He analyzed that the bureaucracy works with the interest of the state, but the interest goes with private or individual interest. This is the concept which he made the bureaucratical structure. He is working as an individual level of interest. Marx theory can be traced as a relationship between ownership and property. He points out that the bureaucracy will work at the purview of administration and cannot identify the individuals outside the purview of administration. It can only indulge the individuals inside the administration, and the individuals outside the administration won't be indulged or included in the aspects. The system always go behind the principles of administration, and thus in reality the people who suffers will not be considered as the bureaucracy cannot work beyond the principles of administration. Finally, Marx viewed that bureaucracy was framed by considering the sociological, political, economical implications, and eventually, when the proletarians or the working class captures the power, the bureaucracy will lose its authority by time. The working class will throw away the capitalistic ideology and let the society into a stateless, classless society where the pure communism will exist. The communism will exist in a state and it will emerge as the dominant power where the working class or the proletarians will be having more importance. The importance of the working class will end the capitalism, and thus an organized action at the international working class will happen. These ideologies of Karl Marx was of great importance, but it was not that important during his lifetime. But after his death, these concepts really shook the world politics. As we know, many revolutions like the Russian Revolution, Chinese revolutions, Vietnamese revolutions, these kinds of revolutions mainly halted the principles of Karl Marx. The leftist ideologies or the communist ideologies were established all over the world by focusing more on the principles of Marx. Marx's theory of historical materialism has been considered as one of the most important principles of social science, and these aspects which he focused more by giving importance to the working class has influenced the entire world history by creating a left oriented society. By this, we have reached the end of the session. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, kindly subscribe the channel Public Policy Tracker and also please press the bell icon so that you will be getting further notifications. Comments and suggestions are welcomed for further improvement of the sessions, and please be on track for further sessions. Thank you.